Some may have heard that Singapore's cleanliness laws are so strict that they don't even allow gum chewing for fear that it'll end up on the streets. And though a gum ban was established in 1992, columnist Tom Plate states that gum nowadays is largely legally chewable. There's a huge misconception on where Singapore is located. Nope, it's not a city in China, as many seem to believe. Singapore rests at the southern tip of Malaysia.
Media in Singapore, we work within a system where the government is very dominant and powerful. It wants to control information to suit its purposes. But it's also a very sophisticated way of influencing media, because this is a government that doesn't use like strong arm tactics like throwing journalists in jail. Instead, it has been very effective in persuading and bringing journalists around and editors around to its point of view. We are very careful about what stories we pursue or how we write certain stories, because we know that there may be repercussions if we are too critical, and it's never clear where the line is. So I think that we tend to err on the side of playing it safe.
New and social media have unlocked an avenue for alternative views to be heard and changed the mainstream media's way of covering both the general and presidential election this year.
Kirsten Han is an internet journalist for The Online Citizen. The Online Citizen records a daily video show that focuses on the upcoming election in the city-state. It's part of a social media revolution that is changing how Singaporeans get their news.
Social media has become much more the norm for being the place you go to when you're looking for information. It's so convenient, it's so easy. So if you see Singaporeans on the trains, they're always looking at their phone.
Being an independent publication or blogger in Singapore's tightly regulated media market isn't for the faint-hearted. The city's mainstream media are controlled by companies with ties to the government, and online commentators who criticise the country's leaders are kept in line by Singapore's strict defamation laws. According to the 2015 World Press Freedom Index, Singapore ranked alongside the likes of Libya, Belarus and Iraq. But in a country with the world's highest rate of smartphone ownership and a youthful, well-educated population, social media and online publications have quickly become a popular way to spread election-related news.
I think social media does make a difference because it also keeps a check on the mainstream media. So people know that, they can check both sources to see what's being reported, what's not in each. And I think because of social media, the mainstream media has bucked up on their coverage of opposition parties.
Furthermore, politicians on all sides of the political spectrum have twigged to the power of social media, with the likes of the Prime Minister regularly tweeting photos and updating his Facebook page with policy statements.
Authorities in Singapore have charged this teenager over a video he posted on YouTube. A 16-year-old Amos Yee slammed the country's founding father in an 8-minute tirade called "Lee Kuan Yew is finally dead." Among other things, he compared Lee to Mao Zedong and Adolf Hitler. The video also contained disparaging remarks against Christians. Singapore has strict laws against religiously offensive comments. And critics say Yee's arrest highlights the country's restrictions on free speech. I watched the clip, and this teenager, he's obviously smart. He's obviously taunting the government, almost daring the government to arrest him for what he's saying. So why did Singaporean authorities even bother to respond to this video, let alone arrest him?
That's a good question. I think it's a sensitive moment in Singapore right now with the death of former Prime Minister Lee. But I think there's more to this than just that. I think you have to, first of all, look at the charges of religious assault and religious criticism. I think those are the cover for a government still in an very authoritarian mode and wanting to suppress this sort of speech. But what you have now are that sort of public debate that used to be able to take place in media, in traditional media, has moved online. And that's where the real action, where the real criticism of government and criticism of the status quo is in many countries. And I think you're going to see more of that. Clearly, about 50% or more than 50% of the people in jail around the world are in because of some sort of online activity.